Now, the 76th United Nations General Assembly is all set to kick off, and the stage is set for 7 days of high-powered diplomacy over several issues, including the likes of climate change, COVID-19 pandemic, and Afghanistan's political turmoil. Now, WION, of course, has got the biggest team on the ground with well over 10 reporters in Washington, D.C. and also in New York, getting you updates as they emerge. We'll be covering all the developments as they happen. And in our next report, our principal diplomatic correspondent, who is also in the United States right now, he tells us as to what to expect in the coming days at the UNGA. Take a look.
The high-level diplomatic week of the United Nations General Assembly, the UNGA, begins with Tuesday being the first day of leaders addressing the body. The US President Joe Biden will be addressing the body, and this will be his first as the US President, and of course lays out plans of engagement which Washington wants with the world. There will be other world leaders like the Chinese president, the new Iranian president, who will be addressing through a pre-recorded video, and Maldivian president will be there. There will be the Brazilian president as well. So a whole host of leaders. But it begins a week where other leaders will also speak. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the body on 25th of this month, and this will be his fourth address to the body. Last year he had addressed through virtual means and talked about UN reforms, and this time as well we can expect UN reforms to dominate his speech, but also climate change, COVID crisis, and there can be references to Afghanistan as well during his speech at the United Nations General Assembly. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to visit Washington and New York. He leaves New Delhi on Wednesday and reaches here on 23rd. But if we look at the entire schedule, 23rd is the day there will be bilateral with the Australian counterpart, the Japanese counterpart. On 24th, he will be having the bilateral, the much-awaited bilateral with the US President Joe Biden, the first in-person meeting between the two leaders. Even though the leaders have spoken to each other 3 times, both the leaders, of course, have participated in the climate change and the Quad virtual meeting as well. This visit undoubtedly will help keep up the momentum, and the visit comes very early on into the Biden administration, shows how the Biden administration is also engaging with New Delhi and how New Delhi is reciprocating that. But ahead of the visit, the Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has already landed in New York, and he is having bilaterals as well. But he is also going to be part of many multilateral engagements at the foreign ministers level on the sidelines of UNGA. So when it comes to India as well, this week undoubtedly is an important week in terms of engagement and, of course, how India maneuvers the complex world of diplomacy.
WION USA Direct from Washington, D.C. with Siddhant Sibal.
All right, so that was my colleague Siddhant Sibal getting us the report from Washington, D.C. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.